Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to part three of the BronyCon of my BronyCon 2019 Remembrance tribute video series. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about day 2 of BronyCon, which was on Friday, August the 2nd. And continuing from the last video, uh, we got up that morning about 8 o'clock. I believe it was 8 or 8:30 in the morning. That time, I think actually we ended up waking up before my phone went off. So I actually woke up, I think, about 20 minutes or so before my phone went off. So I slithered out of bed and disabled my phone, and I got my laptop. I quietly, now, this is the funny thing. Whenever you're trying not to make any sound whatsoever to wake somebody up, I am quietly unzipping my suitcase, my second bag, and meanwhile you hear, and I'm trying to gently open it up so that I can get my laptop out, and I gently sat my laptop down, and I turned it on, and I went to Twitter, um, and to YouTube, and to see what was going on, to see what people were posting about BronyCon, and I think that was whenever I made the post on my. I think that might have been whenever I made the first post on my channel, on the community section of my channel, that I was uh, at BronyCon. I know I did it at one point. I made like I use my phone to put on the community section of my channel. I was at BronyCon with Narrator 007. Um, I made a few posts like that, and before my phone went off, Narrator woke up, and so we got ready again and got ready for the second day of BronyCon 2019. And two things I forgot to mention in the last video was whenever we got back to the hotel, I literally started taking everything that I had. Like I took the batteries that I had in my camera out. I plugged those into a charger in the wall to start charging those, and I tried to make sure that all of my stuff was ready to go for the next day. And the second thing, which I will mention whenever I get to that here shortly, but on the second day, I wore, and so this shirt right here I wore on Friday. The reason I chose to wear that one for Friday was because Friday was the second day, and Friday I was going to make sure that I had proper nutrition and I was ready to go. So Friday morning, instead of we did go, uh, we went back to the kitchen dining area in the hotel, and instead of getting anything to eat, I did get, I think, a cup of apple juice to drink. And I remember getting the apple juice, and as I took a sip of it, I remember as I took a drink of it, I remember thinking to myself, I bet Applejack would be proud of me right now. So walking back out, by the second day, there was a bit of a sense of familiarity that was beginning to set in. The first day in Baltimore, where I had, having never been there before in my life, you, I just kind of thought that, had this image that I kind of stuck out like crazy because I was completely, wasn't from there. I was from a different location. And so here on the second day, it kind of began to feel a bit more familiar, and like a bit more settled in. Like I was already beginning to settle into the entire atmosphere. And making our way back, and one a second thing that I forgot to mention, actually, there's two more things. This one was on our way back to the hotel. It was very interesting to see Baltimore at night. It was actually really pretty. to see the city at night. And I will have to admit, it is different than living in Virginia. Where I live, literally I can look around and there's mountains on one side, mountains on the other, and the traffic at night is extremely light. It's extremely light late at night, and in Baltimore, there was still quite a bit of traffic uh, going by, and from time to time I would hear a siren, an emergency vehicle siren going off in the distance. And here, it is a lot more quiet. So it is very different than living in Baltimore. It is very different, but I still loved the experience because I have to say the Inner Harbor was really pretty. I love the scenery, and it was just great to be able to experience it. And I still had a lot of fun, and I would still love to be able to get to go back. And I remember walking, at night, seeing the buildings and just the lights in on the buildings, and street lights and everything. It was pretty active with having lights all around you from the buildings, and it's very different than here, because here there is a sidewalk, but very few people, except maybe a few joggers or people that are out walking. Most of the time, though, people just drive, which I know that's the case really much, pretty much anywhere. But there still were people that were walking back, walking on the sidewalk and everything. So, um, it's still different here. You could literally walk for like miles and never encounter anybody else walking. In Baltimore, it was the exact opposite. Um, but I remember getting back to the hotel, or sorry, getting back to the convention center. I remembered that the convention center had a little cafe, or a little bistro inside of it. So whenever we went back inside, I ended up getting my breakfast there. And so I got one of their breakfast sandwiches, a which was a croissant, um, which was a croissant um, that had, I think, ham, egg, and cheese on it. And oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so good. And I got a chocolate brownie and a fruit punch Gatorade to drink. And that's one thing also that I kind of made sure of during the event, during BronyCon, was I did try to limit how much sugar, like sugary drinks, that I consumed. I did not really drink any sugary soda uh, very much at all. And the reason is because I knew that sugar, for some people it gives them a sugar rush, for other people it can cause them to crash. And I knew that with everything going on, I needed to stay hydrated. So I chose Gatorade for that. Um, but I remember after getting breakfast, we started walking. We went up to the second level after we got the breakfast. We went up to the second level, and we walked from where you came up the escalator. We walked around the stairs that was there. We walked around the stairs and took a seat against the diagonal concrete that was there. Actually, narrator sat on the floor. I kind of sat on the concrete, and I remember turning to my right, and there was these glass doors or glass windows, and like the sun was just like bright outside, and I was thinking, this is summer. This is like this is my ultimate summer memory right here. BronyCon 2019. Like, this is my ultimate summer memory. And so I remember seeing that, and it was just so beautiful. And I got a few pictures of that as well. I actually got thank God I got a couple of pictures of that too. And once we did that, we started walking up to the third level. And at one point, this actually happened, I think, on the first day. This actually happened on the first day. Now, this happened on the first day of the convention, so this did not happen on the second day. This happened on Thursday, but I actually forgot about it until I started this second video. Um, which is why I'm doing these videos, to preserve the memories, before I forget them. And Lord knows, I hope I never do. But I remember uh, during uh, one point on the first day, on Thursday, narrator was in one of the panels that he wanted to go to, and I was not in a panel or an event at that point. I was just walking around. And so I remember walking by, I think it was between the Hall of the Sun and the Baltimore Arcade. And I remember catching these people sitting there and standing, and they were singing Good Morning Baltimore, which is actually from the Good Morning Baltimore BronyCon animation, um, that I had never seen until after BronyCon 2019, but I didn't know that at the time. So they were singing Good Morning Baltimore, and immediately I remember I pulled out my camera, I started recording, and I'm just kind of wondering, where is this song from? I want to know. And then, there were people walking by, and the cool thing about it, I remember, was like a lot of the people that saw me recording, like they actually would duck and walk underneath the field of view. There were some people that did not actually even pay any attention to it, like they didn't even notice, and they just kept walking by. But there were a lot of people that, as I was recording, they would literally, they like, some of them would even stop. They would suddenly look up, see me recording, they would stop and then duck as they would walk under the camera view. And it was just really cool. Like, I thought to myself, any other place really that you could be recording, and most people would not even give a crap that you were recording. They would just walk in front, like, who cares? But here at BronyCon 2019, there were a lot of people that actually had the courtesy to actually respect what you were doing and actually duck. And I thought that was super awesome. That was super, super cool. And so they stopped singing Good Morning Baltimore, then they started singing Winter Wrap Up. And that was another memory on the first day. But on the second day, the first panel, uh, on the second day, events started at 9 a.m. And the first panel, I think that we went to, might have been, was Pony Definition, which was on, Friday at 10 a.m. I think that was the first. I think that might have been the first one that we went to. The second panel, and then I'm literally having to compare this right here. The second panel, after Pony Definition, actually, I think maybe at that point, it might have been narrator that went to Pony Definition. The panel that I wanted to go to was original characters beyond Equestria, and that was another one about fanfiction. So I went to the original characters at 11:30, and then after that, at 11:30, after that one was over at 12. It looks like, oh, sorry, it was 11:15. After it was over at 12:15, uh, the next one that we ended up going to was, yep, the next one that we went to was Let's Create a Bad Fan Fiction Together Live. That was the next one that we went to at 1:45. Sorry, after the Let's Create a Bad Fan Fiction was over at 2:45. I think we took an opportunity at that point to get lunch, and the next one that we wanted to go to, I think, was Hooves Line Is It Anyway? That was the next one I think that we wanted to do. I remember day 2 was the day that I went the to the marketplace, to the blank canvas marketplace, to the vendor hall for the first time. And it was the first time walking into the vendor hall. I never did get to go in it on Thursday, but walking into it on Friday, uh, oh my gosh, there was just so much stuff there. There was just so much stuff. I remember walking in, and immediately on my right, there was a booth that had, I think, some MLP shot glasses. I think it was. Uh, I didn't get those, but I remember walking by that and looking straight ahead. And straight ahead of me, I saw Fallout Equestria. And at first, I thought it was an art print. I saw it standing on the top of this wooden display shelf that had other things underneath it. And I saw right ahead, I saw Little Pip and Fallout Equestria. And I just kind of had like a mental gasp. Pardon me. I had a mental gasp. And then I made a straight shot for that. And before I even got to it, I realized it was not a poster, but it was actually, I realized that it wasn't a poster, it was actually the hardback. I realized that it was actually the hardback edition of Fallout Equestria. And I saw this sitting on the shelf, and immediately I'm like, oh my gosh. And I grabbed it off of the shelf, and I remember I saw Stardust. I saw Stardust, which was also from the exact same person, from the exact same people that did this print, um, which is Ministry of Image. I saw Stardust, and I also saw Duck and Cover as well, which I actually ordered this one from eBay. So I actually already had this one before I went to the convention. But I also saw uh, Fallout Equestria Project Horizons. I saw a black book, and I saw Project Horizons, and I gasped. I'm pretty sure that I made some sort of audible sound. I don't remember what, but there were so many people around. I don't think they noticed anyway. But I remember picking up the book, and I thought, oh my gosh, getting my two favorite Fallout stories, Fallout Equestria and Fallout Equestria Project Horizons at BronyCon. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then I started looking at Project Horizons and realized that it was a numbered volume. And I started, and I think it was like number 6 or something. And I started looking, and they had like 3, 7, but they didn't have the full collection. And so I ended up, I took, I got I got Stardust and Fallout Equestria, and I walked right around to the front of the booth, and I paid for those two books, and I asked them if they happen to have any more of all of the volumes of Project Horizons. And I was told that they didn't have any more right there. That they did have, but they sold out of them all extremely quickly. And so they didn't have any more, but they would be but they were actually wanting to finish printing the rest of the volumes of the complete set in a few months. And they told me to check back on their website, which I did. Actually, I forgot about it until about 3 or 4 months later. And then I checked and found um, all of the volumes but the last 3 on their website, which I will link their website below as well. But I went ahead and I ordered those volumes of Fallout Equestria, Project Horizons, and then whenever they made the final edition print of those, I also managed to get my hands on that as well. So I was able to get the final volume, the final collection of Project Horizons. And I still consider this part of my BronyCon. I know I didn't get Project Horizons at BronyCon, but I still consider this part of my BronyCon merch because I would have bought these at BronyCon if they would have had the full volume set, but they didn't. And so I had to wait to get it, but I still consider this part of that collection. So after getting those, I remember I first tried to put a couple of the books. I first tried to put Stardust into my backpack, and I could become paranoid because it was a hardcover as well. And I was afraid that I was afraid that some stuff might scratch the cover. So then I took out my other bag, and I kept walking around the vendor hall, the marketplace, and I bought a shirt, a BronyCon t-shirt, once again, I did a merch video before last year talking about all of the merch that I got from BronyCon, so I'm not going to reiterate everything that I got during that. You can check out that video for the stuff that I got, but I bought some other merch there, and then I realized then that I had a bag kind of full of some heavy stuff here, and I realized I didn't want to. I didn't want to have to tote it around all day long because I was paranoid. You know, because I knew I would be getting my tripod and my camera out, and I didn't want to have to carry it around all day. And I didn't want to take a chance on it getting damaged, on a poster getting bent or anything, on me losing it, or I'm clumsy or tripping and losing everything. So I made the decision that I was going to backtrack to the hotel and store everything. So I did. Narrator was still at the con. Narrator was already in another panel that he wanted to go to. So I went back to the hotel, all the way back to the Inner Plaza Hotel, and stored it. And I remember whenever I got inside the hotel room, I decided to take the opportunity to use the bathroom because I actually had not used the bathroom. Basically, I had not done anything major in the bathroom since Thursday, and I realized, okay, it's been like about 48 hours, so this might not be good for me. I can't make it the rest of this entire weekend without using the bathroom in a proper way. So I made the decision to go ahead and take the opportunity to use the bathroom while I was there. Um, Plus, I'm also one of those paranoid people. I don't like using the bathroom whenever there are other people around. So I always try to go into a stall or something whenever there's nobody there if I can. But this time I was the only one in the hotel room, so I took the opportunity. So went back to the hotel. I went back to the convention center, and narrator and myself both the went to the Hall of Chaos at this point uh, for the movies in Pony Voices, uh, 18 and 21 and up panel in the Hall of Chaos, and we went to that one at 5:30. And I remember that was the first panel that we actually went to uh, in the Hall of Chaos. That was the first panel that we actually went to, and I remember getting in line in in the Skywalk, um, and being in line, and there was another really friendly guy that we ended up talking to uh, there, and while we were waiting in line, and it was just so much fun standing in line. There was a lot of people there. Everybody was just talking about different things and about the show, and it was so much fun just standing there. And um, I remember sitting down, and while we were waiting for the line to move, I remember one of the staff members came by and said that it's a 21 plus panel. Make sure you have your IDs out with you, holding them up, ready to go to help move the line along faster. So whenever the line started moving, I reached in my side pocket, pulled out my wallet, and I immediately like found date of birth and everything, and I held it up, and so I remember walking into the Hilton, and I remember getting to the Hilton and walking by a room on the right that had Edgar Allan Poe's picture. I mean, I think there was uh, a, Poe from Edgar Allan Poe, and I keep thinking that there was a picture of him there too. I'm a fan of Edgar Allan Poe, so that I saw that and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And so I remember getting into the Hall of Chaos, and oh my gosh, that ballroom inside of the Hilton was gorgeous. And we sat down, and they started doing the movies and pony voices, and oh my gosh, it was so much fun. It was so hilarious. It was just such a blast. Um, I don't know if that was the day that they were having audio issues, but I remember they did have audio issues, and it was hilarious too, because while they were having technical difficulties, I remember they started singing. The people that were doing the panel, they started singing "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey, and everybody in the audience just started singing along. It was just so much fun. Like, even though they were having technical difficulties at the point, it was still just a fun event. And then I remember after uh, movies in Pony Voices, right after that happened, they had the Thanks M.A. Larson 21 and Up panel, and we also went to that one. And I remember right after, literally, we left, went out into the hall, turned. I mean, I think we went out into the hall, and I think went back out into the skywalk and turned around, and then had to get back in line again for the next panel. And the one with M.A. Larson again was hilarious, and it was just so much. It was so much fun being there, and just I mean everybody was laughing, and it was just so much fun. We had so many laughs with that. Um, after we did now after that one, they then had after that one they had Let's Create a Bad Fan Fiction Together Live 21 and Up. That one we also went to, like literally we went right back into there again for that one, and it was just so much fun being part of that. Uh, and like the 21 and Up bad fan fiction, like the MLP fan fiction that they read. Oh, it was so much fun. It was so hilarious. Oh my gosh, my sides were sore. I mean, 3 panels consecutively that was just side-splitting humor. My sides was sore, and I remember it was so awesome because I love seeing people laugh. I love seeing other people laugh, and seeing other people laugh makes me laugh. And so besides the comedy that was going on too, I remember looking around in the audience and seeing other people like holding their stomach like bent over laughing so hard, and it filled me with such joy to see so many people having such a great time. I was just so glad that so many people were just having such a great time, and it was just an absolute blast. I believe then after we went to after the creating a bad fan fiction together, I then went and got in line for the Seeing Through Your Character's Eyes Part 2, because that one was involving fan fiction as well. And so I went to that one, and then after that one was over, I did go to Bronypalooza on Friday night. I went to Bronypalooza probably about 12:30 a.m. I guess it was about 12:38 whenever I walked into Hall B and started listening to the Bronypalooza and concert. And I remember I think it was on the second day as well. Um, in the 21 plus panels, we also in the 21 plus panels, we also ran into during the 21 plus panels, we also narrator and myself, we ran into Johnny Fireflame, and then after the panels ended that we were going to go to, we also ended up running into Apple Geek out but somewhere around the Hall of the Sun, and we ended up kind of standing there talking to him for like a half hour as well, and it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun getting to talk to Johnny Fireflame, getting to talk to Apple Geek. They're both amazing people, and it was just so much fun to get to stand there and talk to them. And it was so much fun. It like a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. And like I said, they're both just such great people, friendly, really, really great people, and it was a blast to be able to talk to them. And whenever I think narrator did go to a couple of other little things while I went to Bronypalooza, and I remember walking into Hall B and Bronypalooza like just going on, and I remember the first night on on Friday night that I was there walking in, and the music was pumped. I mean, the music was pumping. And I remember I got my tripod out and set up my camera, and I started recording what was left of Bronypalooza for that night, or what I could, pardon me, or what I could. And I remember setting my tripod up, and at this point I had the chance to try out the full extent of my tripod, raise the camera up as high as it would go, and I positioned myself, all the way back in the audience, because I didn't want to get too close to people. I didn't want to get in people's way, but I also didn't want people running into my camera either. And I also knew that the music would not be as loud in the main back. And I kind of have sensitive ears. I kind of have sensitive hearing. But also, I wanted to position myself in the back so that way I would have a view of the screens, the stage, the lights above. I could have a view of everything and the audience as well. And so I positioned myself in the back, and I remember just standing there holding the handle of my camera and just listening to the music. And I remember feeling the floor vibrate with the music, like the speakers were thumping. The floor was vibrating so much that I could feel like every fiber of me, like I could feel my chest cavity vibrating. And I'm standing there thinking, this might not be good for my health, but I don't care. Like, this is BronyCon. I'm gonna live this last weekend as if it's my last, and if I happen to die, okay. I didn't care if it was bad for my health. I was just going to enjoy it anyway. And I remember just a little after 2 a.m. I think it was about 2 a.m. It was just shortly after 2. I remember seeing someone come up on, come across the stage and tell the performer that was performing last what time it was, I guess. And so they started wrapping up for the night, and they basically said, I mean, so Bronypalooza was over for the second night on Friday, and people started leaving at that point. People started getting up. People were already standing, but people started leaving out. And I remember as people started leaving out, I turned my camera off. Took my camera off, put it back around my neck. I started, or put it in my backpack, and I started taking up my tripod. And over the course of the entire BronyCon event, I actually kind of became a little bit efficient with how quick I could deploy my tripod and put, and fold it back up and everything. I became pretty quick with that. Not extremely quick, but quick enough. And I remember just, it was just so much fun. And then we ended up making our way after we left BronyCon, or after we left the Baltimore Convention Center. We started walking back down Pratt Street, and we walked by Royal Farms and saw that it was still open. And one thing also, two other things I just remembered. Um, on the second day, I believe it come a storm actually. I remember sitting. I remember looking or sitting down on the third level and looking outside, out on the terrace, and seeing it was just pouring the rain. And so I remember thinking, well, at least we're inside. But it was still actually pretty cool because seeing the rain pouring down on some of the glass that they had on the roof, and so it was honestly really cool. The sky, seeing the rain on the skylights. And um, then I remember another thing I remember is we also uh, I remember we also, I think it was the second day or the third day. I don't remember which day it was, but I remember we got lunch at, I don't remember the name of the place that sold hot dogs inside of the convention center. But I remember stopping there, and I got a hot dog to eat. And I remember uh, getting. I remember going. That was the third day because it rained on the second day. I'm pretty sure it was the second day that it rained. Yeah, it was. It was the second day that it rained. So it was the next day that we got the hot dog. So I'll be telling you that story then. But I remember walking back to the hotel that night, like 2:30 in the morning, and I remember we happened by Royal Farms and saw that they were open 24 hours, and I'm like, oh heck yeah! So we walked inside and uh, saw the machines where you use to get your food. And this was my first time actually using these machines because I'll be honest, um, the restaurants that we have around here, I don't go in. I usually just use the drive-through. I never go in because I always figure it's quicker. And so I've never used I've never used any of the machines before until this time, until in Royal Farms that day. So then I remember I got a cheeseburger and an order of fries and a soda, and I think it was a Sprite or a Pepsi, one or the other. And I remember we got our food and we started, and also got a chocolate bar. I don't remember the brand, but I remember I got a chocolate bar, and it was really good. That was my dessert. So we got our food when we went back to the hotel, and I took off my backpack and my tripod, and I started putting all my batteries on charge that I had used. And uh, then I remember narrator sat down. He sat down on his bed, and I sat in the chair at the desk, and we ended up talking about the con, about the couple of days that we'd been there, and MLP different and other things. We talked about those. We talked about that while we ate, and once we ate, we ended up actually going ahead and going to sleep because it was like 2:30 in the morning. I know I was too tired to take a shower at that point, so uh, we decided to just go to sleep and take one the next morning. So we changed and went to sleep and was and basically got ready for day 3 of BronyCon, which was on Saturday. But that's what happened on day 2 of BronyCon. And so thanks again for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed these details. And thanks again for joining me. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.